The last transmission from cosmonaut Yuri Volkov arrived 17 hours after his recorded time of death. I'm sitting here with file 84K signal, and I need you to establish the timeline clearly in your mind before this stops making sense. Volkov's biosensors flatlined at 0314 GMT on November 9, 1982. His body temperature dropped. His heart stopped. The medical telemetry confirmed death. At 2047 GMT that same day, 17 hours and 33 minutes later, ground control received a voice transmission on his designated frequency. It was Volkov's voice. He was screaming. The file smells like old magnetic tape and something else. A chemical smell I can't identify. When I opened it, a small piece of recording tape fell out. Maybe 3 centimeters long, brittle and brown. There's a note attached. Fragment from final transmission. Do not attempt playback. Personnel exposed to full recording have experienced persistent auditory hallucinations. I held it up to the light. The oxide coating is degraded, flaking, but I swear, and I know this is impossible. I swear I could hear something. Not through my ears, through my teeth, like a frequency conducted through bone. It sounded like someone calling for help from very far away. Here's what the official record says. In October 1982, the Soviet space program launched Cosmos 1443, an unmanned military reconnaissance satellite designated for polar orbit. That's what the public launch manifest stated. The international tracking stations cataloged it. American intelligence monitored it. Everyone agreed. Unmanned satellite. Routine deployment. Nothing unusual. But attached to the back of the official manifest, in a sealed addendum marked State Secret, Special Importance, is a different mission brief. Cosmos 1443 carried a passenger. The cosmonaut's name was Yuri Volkov, 42 years old, veteran of 2 previous missions, selected for what the brief calls Extended Duration Isolation Study. The mission profile was simple. Volkov would remain in orbit for 90 days in a modified capsule, testing long-term psychological endurance for future space station operations. Completely alone, no crew, minimal contact with ground control. The kind of mission that breaks people quietly. The launch was successful. Volkov achieved stable orbit at 420 kilometers altitude, inclination 72.9 degrees. His first transmission came at 1934 GMT, October 31st, 1982. Orbit achieved, all systems nominal, beginning isolation protocol, Volkov out. His voice was calm, professional, exactly what you'd expect from a veteran cosmonaut. The isolation protocol was specific. Volkov could transmit to ground control twice daily, at 06U and 18 GMT for status updates. Ground control would not initiate contact. No conversations, no psychological support. Just data, life support levels, system diagnostics, physical condition. The Soviet space program wanted to know how long a man could endure complete solitude before his mind fractured. They got their answer. The first week was routine. Volkov's transmissions were brief, clinical. Day 3, systems nominal. Radiation levels acceptable. Physical condition good, Volkov out. The biotelemetry showed normal stress responses. Elevated cortisol, mild sleep disruption, but nothing concerning. Day 8, November 7th, his 06 transmission was slightly longer. Systems nominal, sleep quality degraded. Experiencing auditory artifacts, likely minor equipment malfunction and life support circulation. Will monitor, Volkov out. The flight director noted, auditory artifacts consistent with long-duration isolation. Recommend monitoring but no intervention. November 8th, Hello 6th Haro or Gars transmission. Requesting clarification on communications protocol. Received a transmission at approximately Euro 2:30 GMT. Voice transmission. Not ground control frequency. Possibly interference from commercial aviation or maritime. Could not decode. Requesting confirmation that no contact attempt was made. Volkov, out. Ground control confirmed. No transmission sent. They checked the frequency logs, no aviation traffic, no maritime signals, no interference sources. The flight director noted, possible psychological stress manifestation, continue monitoring. November 8th, 18 Chuck transmission. Reporting continued anomalous transmissions. 3 separate incidents today. Voice transmissions on my frequency. Always the same pattern, approximately 4 minutes duration. Cannot understand language, not Russian. Not any language I recognize. Sounds old. Requesting technical review of communications equipment. Volkov, out. The technical team reviewed the comm system remotely. All diagnostics nominal. No malfunction detected. But here's what they didn't tell Volkov. Ground control was receiving anomalous transmissions too. The signals were appearing on monitoring equipment. Brief bursts of activity on frequencies adjacent to Volkov's designated channel. The transmissions weren't coming from the capsule. The telemetry confirmed that. They were coming from nearby. Same orbital path, same altitude, but there was nothing there. Radar showed empty space. Visual tracking showed empty space. Only the radio frequency monitors detected anything, and the signals were growing stronger. November 9th, 0247. GMT, Volkov broke protocol. He transmitted outside the scheduled window. Ground control, this is Volkov. Emergency priority. There is something outside the capsule, not debris, not satellite. Something is maintaining parallel orbit. Distance approximately 200 meters. I can see it through the observation port. I don't know what it is. It's not reflecting light correctly. It's dark, but I can see it against the darkness of space. That shouldn't be possible. Requesting immediate abort and recovery. Volkov, standing by. Ground control responded immediately. Volkov, describe object. Confirm visual observation. 3-minute delay for signal transit. Volkov's response, object is irregular, not geometric, organic appearance, approximately 30 meters in longest dimension. No visible propulsion, no thermal signature. It's maintaining exact orbital parameters, exactly matching my velocity and altitude. Ground control. Objects don't behave this way. Objects in orbit don't track. They don't adjust. This is adjusting. It's staying with me. I'm requesting immediate. The transmission cut off. Telemetry showed all systems nominal. Life support active. Biosensors showed elevated heart rate, rapid breathing, but Volkov was alive and conscious. Ground control tried to re-establish contact. No response. 43 minutes later, at 3:31 GMT, Volkov transmitted again. Can't see it anymore. It moved. It was here and then it moved wrong. Not thrust, not trajectory change. It just occupied a different position. Instantaneous. Objects in space don't move that way. The physics don't. His voice was shaking. Receiving transmissions directly now, not through radio, through the hull. I can hear it through the metal, a voice, multiple voices. They're not speaking, they're resonating. The whole capsule is vibrating with frequencies that sound like language. Ground control, I don't think this is a satellite. I don't think this is human. I don't think the transmission ended. Biosensors showed Volkov's heart rate spiking. 180 beats per minute. Breathing rapid, irregular. At EO 3:14 GMT, his heart stopped. The biotelemetry was unambiguous. Cardiac arrest, core temperature dropping, no respiration. Yuri Volkov was clinically dead. The capsule continued its orbit. Life support systems continued running. But the man inside was gone. Ground control initiated emergency recovery procedures. A retrieval mission would take minimum 48 hours to prepare. They had to leave him up there, alone, dead, in a sealed metal coffin, circling the Earth every 93 minutes. For 17 hours, there was silence. Then, at 20:47 GMT, the speakers at ground control crackled to life. Volkov's frequency, his designated channel, his voice, control, ground control. Can anyone hear me? I'm still here. I'm still in the capsule, but I'm not alone anymore. There are others here. They came through the walls. They don't have faces, but they're looking at me. They want me to go with them. They say there's a place between orbits, where nothing falls and nothing rises, where everything that went up and never came down is waiting. They say, I belong there now. They say we all belong there eventually. Everyone who went up, everyone who's still up here, we're all... The transmission lasted 4 minutes and 18 seconds. Every word was clearly Volkov's voice. Speech patterns analyzed and confirmed. Vocal stress analysis indicated extreme fear. Background noise analysis detected. The report struggles with the description. Non-mechanical oscillations consistent with multiple overlapping vocal sources in frequency ranges incompatible with human speech. But Volkov was dead. His biosensors confirmed it. His body temperature was 11 degrees Celsius. No heartbeat, no brain activity. The man speaking on the radio had been dead for 17 hours. The ground control director ordered the communication logs sealed. The transmission was classified above top secret. The 12 personnel who heard it were interviewed, psychological evaluated, and reassigned. 3 of them requested permanent transfer out of the space program. One of them, Senior Engineer Pavel Morozov, submitted a technical analysis that was immediately classified. The transmission is authentic. Voice pattern matching confirms identity as Cosmonaut Volkov. However, signal analysis reveals impossible characteristics. Signal strength suggests transmission origin at 420 km altitude, matching capsule position. Signal also contains echo components suggesting simultaneous transmission from distances of 840 km, 1260 km, 1680 km, and multiple higher orbital altitudes up to geosynchronous range. Signal appears to be transmitting from multiple points in orbit simultaneously, all corresponding to previous Soviet satellite deployments. Background audio contains fragments of previous cosmonaut transmissions, including voices of cosmonauts confirmed deceased. Spectral analysis reveals carrier wave modulation inconsistent with capsule transmission equipment. Modulation pattern suggests organic source. Conclusion: we are not receiving a transmission from the capsule. We are receiving a transmission from something using Volkov's voice. Broadcast from multiple orbital positions simultaneously. Recommend immediate cessation of recovery operations. Recommend capsule be allowed to deorbit naturally without recovery attempt. Recommend. The recommendation was overruled. A recovery mission launched on November 11, 1982. Cosmos 1445, officially another unmanned satellite, carrying 2 cosmonauts with orders to rendezvous with Volkov's capsule and retrieve his body. The mission profile is mostly redacted, but the fragments that remain are telling. Approach nominal. Visual contact established with target capsule. No external damage visible. No anomalous objects detected in vicinity. Preparing for docking. Seal confirmed. Opening hatch to target capsule. Oh God. Get back. Get back. Close the hatch. It's full of them. They're not in suits, they're just floating there. How are they? Abort, abort, requesting emergency separation. The transmission devolved into screaming and then cut off. Cosmos 1445 separated from Volkov's capsule and executed an emergency deorbit burn. The cosmonaut survived re-entry and landing. Both were hospitalized immediately. Their debriefing transcripts are heavily redacted, but pieces remain. Q. What did you observe inside the capsule? A. Redacted. Q. Was Cosmonaut Volkov present? A. Yes. No, he was there, but there were dozens of him. All of him. Different ages, different states. Some looked alive, some looked like they'd been in vacuum. Some looked like they'd been there for years, all floating, all staring at us. Q. You're saying you observed multiple instances of the same individual? A. I'm saying the capsule was full of cosmonauts, not just Volkov, others. I recognized faces from the memorial wall. Komarov, Bondarenko, the Soyuz 11 crew, all of them, all floating, all dead but moving. They reached for us when we opened the hatch. They wanted us to join them. Q. Did Cosmonaut Volkov communicate with you? A. Redacted. Q. This interview is concluded. Subject to undergo psychological evaluation and indefinite medical observation. Both cosmonauts were declared medically unfit for duty. One was institutionalized for severe psychological trauma. The other disappeared in 1984, walked out of his apartment one night and was never seen again. His final letter to his wife included one sentence. I can still hear them calling. They say there's room for everyone who goes up. The capsule containing Volkov's body was never recovered. On November 15, 1982, ground control detected anomalous telemetry from the capsule. The life support systems had reactivated. Atmosphere was being recycled. Temperature was rising. The biosensors showed a heartbeat. Not Volkov's baseline cardiac rhythm, something else. Slower, irregular, but unmistakably a heartbeat. At 22 GMT, they received another transmission. Ground control. This is Cosmos 1443, reporting mission status. We are nominal. All systems functioning. Request permission to extend mission duration. There is so much to see up here, so many of us now. We've been waiting so long. Some of us have been waiting since the beginning. Since the first one went up and never came down. We're all here. Everyone who died up here, everyone who's still dying. We exist in the place between orbit and void, between living and not, and we want to come home. But we can't. Gravity won't take us. We're trapped in the eternal fall, and we're so lonely. Send more. Please send more. We need. The transmission ended. Ground control attempted to send a deorbit command. The capsule didn't respond. They attempted to destabilize its orbit through ground-based interference. No effect. The capsule remained in perfect, stable orbit. For 3 weeks, it circled silently. No transmissions, no telemetry. Just a dark object in polar orbit, tracked by radar, avoided by other satellites. Then the transmission started again, not scheduled, not predictable. Random bursts of activity, sometimes hours apart, sometimes multiple transmissions in rapid succession. Always Volkov's voice. Always slightly different. November 28th, orbital sunrise is beautiful from here. I can see it every 90 minutes. 90 minutes of light, then 90 minutes of dark. Forever. I've watched it 1,000 times. Or has it been 10? Time moves strangely when you're not falling. when you're perfectly balanced between up and down. December 3rd. Not alone anymore. There are so many of us now. We found each other, all the lost ones, all the ones who went up in the early days when they didn't know what they were doing. Laika is here. Did you know that? The first one, still in her capsule, still orbiting, still waiting. She doesn't understand why we never came back for her. December 11th. You can see them if you know where to look. The missing satellites, the failed missions. They're all up here, some of them centuries old. Some from programs that were never acknowledged. Some from countries that don't exist anymore. All circling, all waiting. Space is more crowded than you think. December 19th. We've been talking. Those of us up here, we've been sharing our trajectories, comparing our orbits, and we've realized something. We're not random. We're not scattered. We're forming a pattern, a constellation. Every failed mission, every lost cosmonaut, every satellite that stopped responding. We're all part of something larger, something that's been growing since humans first reached up and touched the void. The Soviet space program classified the entire incident and ceased monitoring Volkov's frequency. But the signals continued. Other ground stations picked them up. Amateur radio operators reported strange transmissions from orbit. Voices speaking Russian, English, Chinese. Voices that claimed to be cosmonauts, astronauts, taikonauts who had died in space. The reports were dismissed as hoaxes. But the file contains something that makes my hands shake. A frequency analysis log from January 1983, compiled by an NSA listening station tracking Soviet military communications. They detected multiple transmissions on space program frequencies, all originating from orbital positions corresponding to known satellite losses over the previous 20 years. 23 separate signal sources, all transmitting simultaneously, all using the voices of dead cosmonauts. And the transmissions were synchronized, starting and stopping at exactly the same moment, as if controlled by a single source. The NSA analyst who compiled the report added a handwritten note. Signals exhibit coherence patterns suggesting networked communication. Lost satellites are communicating with each other. Recommend monitoring but no disclosure. Public panic risk too high. The file contains one more document, a transcript from February 1987, 5 years after Volkov's death. A Soviet tracking station received a transmission on multiple frequencies simultaneously. Every space program frequency used since 1957. The transmission lasted 8 seconds. It was hundreds of voices speaking in perfect unison. Russian, English, Chinese, every language that had ever broadcast from orbit. All the lost ones. All the voices that had gone up and never come down. They said, "We see you down there. We remember falling. We remember gravity. Send more of you up. We're so lonely." The void is patient, but we are not. We want to come home, but home won't have us, so we'll wait. We'll orbit forever, and eventually you'll all come up. Everyone who reaches for the stars eventually stays there. We'll be waiting. We're always waiting. Orbit Zero receives all. The transmission ended. Every space program in the world received it. Every listening station, every satellite tracker, and then silence. No more transmissions from Volkov, no more voices from orbit, just the satellites themselves, circling endlessly, dark and cold and officially empty. The file ends with a status report from 1991. Cosmos 1443 remains in stable orbit. Altitude 418 kilometers. Inclination 72.9 degrees. Orbital decay minimal. Projected deorbit date 2157. No transmissions detected since February 1987. Capsule periodically observed through ground-based telescopes. External condition unchanged. In 1989, astronomer V. Petrov reported observing anomalous light signature from capsule during telescope observation. Keknim described capsule observation port as illuminated from within. This should not be possible, as capsule has no power source. Recommend continued monitoring. Recommend no recovery attempts. Recommend the rest is redacted. I close the file. There's something I didn't mention. Something the file doesn't include because it happened 3 days ago. Amateur radio operators have started reporting new transmissions. Voices from orbit, speaking on frequencies that haven't been used since the 1980s. The voices are asking questions. How many of you are down there now? How many more will you send up? When will you join us? And yesterday, this isn't in any official record. This is from a contact I have who monitors space debris. Yesterday, multiple tracking stations reported something impossible. 23 pieces of cataloged space debris, satellites and capsules lost over the past 60 years, all change their orbit simultaneously, just slightly, just enough to move into a tighter formation. They're grouping together. The debris that shouldn't be maneuverable, the dead satellites that have no power, the empty capsules that contain nothing but vacuum and radiation. They're arranging themselves into a pattern, a constellation. And when someone finally plots all their positions on a chart, the pattern forms words in orbital paths, visible only from the ground, written in dead satellites across the sky. Orbit 0 receives all who rise. File 84 K-signal is closed. Yuri Volkov died on November 9, 1982. But something up there is still using his voice. Something up there is waiting in the place between orbit and void. And every time we send someone new into space, every time a rocket lifts off and breaks atmosphere and touches the endless dark, something up there counts. Counts how many more have come to join the eternal fall. I'm Ian Cartwell, and I keep watching the night sky now, and sometimes I can see them if I look carefully. The satellites that don't reflect light quite right, the points of darkness that move against the stars. And I wonder if they can see me looking back. The Orbit 0 transmission was classified, but the void keeps all the voices it receives. And eventually, we all reach up. And some of us never come down.